What is up, you beautiful happy hustlers out there? Cary Jack here, and we are talking about the 10 time management tips to increase your productivity. Now, again, let me mention I am not a time management guru, but I have figured some things out running multiple online successful businesses, working typically less than 20 hours per week. So, I want to share with you my top 10 time management tips for you to increase your productivity. Let's dive in. First and foremost, let me just say again, I am not a big fan of the word time management because time is not really something you manage. You manage yourself, you manage your actions, you manage your behavior. Time is ever flowing, ever going. There's 24 hours in the day, and you use them how you use them, and you lose them how you lose them. So, first, I just wanted to clear that up in terms of that terminology. Now, the first tip that I want to share with you, and this one might seem a little grim, it might seem a little dark, but it is momentum mori. Okay, memento mori. This means remember you are going to die. Okay, this is a Latin phrase that I have been really taking into heart, and I actually have an app on my phone called We Croak that reminds me 5 times a day that I'm going to die, and then it shares a positive quote. But this is a tactic that I utilize to remind myself to live with more urgency and intentionality. And it has really helped. I will tell you, I have wasted less time since putting momentum mori in my top of my psyche, knowing, hey, my time on this earth is limited, as is yours. So you must maximize it. That's tip number one. Tip number two, the be focused timer. I have a focused timer on my computer and on my phone that basically just time blocks my task. Whatever I do, I have a be focused timer on, so I know how long I'm going to spend on this and essentially how long I have to complete it. This be focused timer, you can change it. I usually do a 30-minute on, 5-minute off, and that's like a really healthy, it's a really healthy time like block for me. And then on that 5-minute off, I jump on my rebounder over here, and that just shakes out the lymphatic drainage system and resets my entire body, really. So be focused timer is tip number two. Get a focus timer, which also parlays into tip number three, time blocking. Okay, once you are utilizing a timer, you want to have clear blocks where you're making sure that you are accomplishing your task at hand, whatever that is for you. Making sure that, you're really clear on, okay, this is what I'm doing this next 30 minutes, like be it social media content or writing an article or prospecting for new clients or whatever it is for you. Do it to the fullest degree of your capability in that allotted time, and don't allow any distractions to interfere. That's one of the biggest things when you're time blocking, you have your focus timer on, you want to make sure that you're not allowing, other things to distract you, because there is a lot of distractions out there and you really want to mitigate as many distractions as possible. More on that later. Now, tip number four, the key three. I write down every single day my key three. All right, 3 things that if I accomplish for that day, it'll be a win. Now, typically I accomplish more than just those 3, but think about what those 3 things are for you. Every single morning, write them out. I put them on a Post-it note. There's a lot of fancy stuff out there. I like pen and paper and a Post-it. And I just put them, right in front of me, and I work on them. And then I scratch them off with my pen as soon as I'm done. Therefore, I know I can move on to the next one. So write out your key 3. That is tip numero cuatro. Now, tip number 5 is hell yes or a no. Hell yes or a no. It's either a hell yes or it's a no. Now, I'm not perfect again with this one either, because sometimes I find on my calendar that there's things that I'm not really like hell yes about. However, most of the things that I do have on my calendar, I am. And it's a really it's a good tool and a good filter for your calendar to make sure that you are, let me just say as well, if you're not using a calendar, this is all these tips are assuming you are using a calendar. If you're not using a calendar, use a calendar. You need to put your just routine and your schedule in some type of calendar, be it on a physical calendar or on Google calendars or whatever you'd use. But it's very important to have that filter. Hell yes, I want to do this, or no, not so much. And I've said no to a lot more things as I continue to grow and as my different opportunities continue to grow, because once you start to have success in any capacity, you'll see more and more opportunities come your way. So you have to be very specific with your filter. And that's why I think this one is very important. Okay, number 5. So we had Momento Mori as number 1. I'm just going to recap. Then we had the Be Focused timer. Okay. Then we had time blocking. All right. Then we had the key 3. And then we had, it's either hell yes or a no. Now, so technically that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're on number 6. We just did number 5. Parkinson's law. This one it's just universal, and it's so true. If you are not like giving yourself a deadline, then you will see your task expands to the time allotted. That is Parkinson's law. So you have to give yourself a deadline. You have to put, even if it's an artificial deadline, make sure that you have one and that you have real consequences if you do not hit it. Now, see, a lot of people use Parkinson's law in this deadline, this artificial deadline technique. But the difference here is I actually have consequences if I do not hit it. Okay. When I was writing my book, The Happy Hustle, I'll tell you straight up, I missed a deadline and I paid for it. Okay. I have a deadline consequence that if I miss it, I have to donate to a cause that I despise, real hard cash. And this is a tool and a tactic that is not easy, because you, first of all, don't want to give away your hard-earned dollars, but you, second of all, don't want to give it away to someone that you don't like or a cause that you really don't believe in, be it a political competitor or a cause that is, it goes against your morals or beliefs. But having real consequences, leveraging Parkinson's law, is tip number 6. Okay. Tip number 7, protected time, making sure that you have real protected time that's sacred for you. Okay. For me, it's the morning before the hour of 9 a.m. Nothing gets scheduled. Like I don't have anything scheduled from the time I wake up to the time, that I start my day, really like work day per se, 9 a.m. And that gives me time for self-care. This morning, I got up at like 7, which, sometimes I'll get up at 6, but most of the time it's around 7:30. I love my sleep, and, it's nice to wake up when you want. That's why we're happy hustling, right? To make sure we're doing, work our way. Then I did my, hyperhydration, my supplements, my morning stretching routine, my meditation. I did an infrared sauna. I did some reading, a little bit of breath work, and, jumped on my trampoline again, and boom, then I'm ready. I'm charged up for the day. I had a little coffee, and I'm just feeling great. By the time I sit down to do work, it's because I have that sacred time in the morning to set myself up for success. So make sure you have that sacred time, okay? Now, we are moving right along to tip number 8, and that is delegation, okay? Delegation is... it's one of the things that's going to allow you to scale. You can't do everything. You just can't. If you want to really make your message matter and you really want to scale your impact, you need a team. You need to be delegating. Now, for me, I have about 4 virtual assistants that are absolute rock stars. Shout out to them. They really, run the majority of my business. I have a personal assistant here in Montana, and then I have outsourced freelancers that do the rest. If I need a new funnel, I call up my buddy Tyler. If I need, marketing or ads or whatever, like each different, outsourcing has a particular freelancer that I have in my database. And it's really important that I delegate, because I need to focus on what I'm best at, and you need to focus on what you're best at. That's how you continue to grow and scale your message and make a positive impact. And that's what it's all about, right? Happy hustling a life you love and making a positive impact and an income in the process. So that is a very important tip. Tip number 8. Tip number 9, automated scheduling. Okay. This is like one of the biggest waste of times I find is when people, they send me an email and they're like, "Hey, when are you free?" And I'm like, "Here's my Calendly link." And, they're like, "Well, here's my times." And they send me 3. They don't want to like schedule through my link. And I'm like, well, then there's 3 emails later and we still haven't picked a time because I'm looking back, you're looking back. The biggest thing is just get a Calendly link. This is like a free link that you can get where you can have your calendar linked up to this link and people can see the time slots that you're available, and you can set your availability as per your needs and when you want to be available. So I have different Calendly links for different opportunities. If someone like gets invited to come on the Happy Hustle podcast, or I think it's a good fit, I'll send them my podcast Calendly link. If I'm doing a Happy Hustle huddle with someone who, I just did this promo where if someone read my book and sent me a DM and with their biggest takeaway, I sent them, my team did, my Calendly link to hop on a Happy Hustle huddle. And that's a different link than my podcast link. Also, I have, if someone's coming on the Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure, that is a different link to apply. And so I know when I look at my calendar for the day, which time slot and which call is for, which thing. It's just a really clean way to schedule. Now, tip number 10 is systemization. Okay. Really, really important. Once you start to figure things out and you're leveraging these other tips, systemize it. Okay. Create SOPs, standard operating procedures around these different, tasks that get repeated every day or every single week. For instance, I have a content creation block with my, rockstar executive assistant, Connie, and we sit down every Wednesday and we put together content, and then she knows when it gets posted, when it gets shared. And that is a SOP that is just systematized, and, I'll work the creative and then she'll schedule the posts, and bada bing, bada boom, we're done. It takes maybe an hour a week to get that stuff accomplished. These type of systemizations, or these type of systems, will allow you to leverage your time most effectively. And that's what it's about, is leveraging your time most efficiently and effectively. And in order to really happy hustle in any capacity, you have to have discipline. So with all of these different, time management tips, I want you to just really think about the discipline that you show up in your everyday reality. What if you had to be honest with yourself, what score would you give yourself out of a 10? 10 is like you are hardcore disciplined. 1 is like, not so much. I find myself scrolling or being distracted or not getting things done. And, that honest assessment of yourself will allow you to then change, because in order to grow in any area and make any type of real change, we have to first assess where we're at. So think of your discipline 1 to 10 right now, and then think about how you can improve it with some of these time management tips. Discipline is the key to all of these different things that you want to, do in your life. Like, you need discipline, and it's not so much easy, but it is one of those like recipes for success. And I actually have my mantras that I say every single day. One of the mantras that I say is, I am focused and disciplined. I repeat it to myself minimum 2 times a day, one time in the morning, one time in the afternoon or evening time. And that, that I am mantra just reconfirms in my brain, in my subconscious, that I am focused, I am disciplined, and it eventually will become true, right? And I believe I am pretty focused and pretty disciplined. However, there's always room for improvement. So think about what it is for you, in terms of discipline and how you can improve. There's also another tool that I'm going to just share as a little bonus here, a time management tip. This would be freedom.to. Freedom.to allows you to block all the different websites and distractions on your desktop computer or your laptop. And this is a way that if you are finding yourself distracted, you could even get it on your phone where it blocks the apps for a certain amount of time. Like there's nothing you could do to get into Facebook if you say block Facebook for the next hour. So it's really important sometimes if you don't have that discipline, this is a way to force it where you're just, hey, you're disciplined because you have to be, you're using this tool of technology, freedom.to. So those were 10 time management tips coming to you rapid fire style, but really important. I'm going to run through them again just so you have a recap. And that is number one, Momento Mori. Just remember to live with that urgency and intentionality. Number two, that focus timer. I use one called Be Focused. It's free. You put it on your desktop. Really important. So you have that time frame. Number three, time blocking. Just really getting clarity around what tasks you need to accomplish in the time that you're going to accomplish them. Number four, the key three. Remember, writing them down on a Post-it every single day and knowing those key three, the ones that you are going to finish regardless of whatever comes your way in the day. As long as you get those three done, it'll be a win. Number four, hell yes or no. That's the decision. That's the filter. When you are getting asked to do things, put it through that filter and do your best to put the majority of the, commitments on your calendar as a hell yes and say no to more things that aren't. Number five, Parkinson's law, just making sure. Actually, that was number five. Number six, Parkinson's law. I don't know why I can't count today. Sorry, guys. Parkinson's law, leverage that artificial or real deadline with consequences. Key being consequences. Make sure you have those. Number seven, protect your time. Have that sacred time. I do my sacred time in the morning and in the evening too, but I really make sure that my protected time in the morning is for me and my self-care. Number eight, delegation. Really making sure that you delegate to your team or to freelancers, but stick to your zone of genius and outsource the rest as much as possible. Number nine, automate your scheduling. Get a free Calendly link and just use it. Even when you're like getting together with friends or you're keeping it casual, it's a really good way to connect on. If you're saying, instead of going back and forth on times via email or text, just say, hey, mind grabbing a time on my Calendly link? It will save you so much time. And number 10, systemization. Have clear systems for tasks that get repeated over time. So those are the 10 time management tips to increase your productivity. And I really hope that you just heed some of these wise words from not just me. There's another guy I like to follow. His name's Ali Abdal. He has a really good time management video. I got some of these from him. I had got some of these from John C. Maxwell and Darren Hardy and some of these Tony Robbins. Like, these are not just my unique ideas. These are, people from like personal growth behemoths who really crush it. And it's not rocket science, guys. Do the work, you leverage these time management tips and really start to increase your productivity. Okay. Now, I have something special for you, and I just want to kind of shout it out again. I mentioned it, but if you haven't already, got a copy of my new book, The Happy Hustle, 10 Alignments to Avoid Burnout and Achieve Blissful Balance. You can hook it up, or you can get the hookup at thehappyhustlebook.com. And in here, I actually have more time management tips and ways to actually create that blissful balance, both in your personal life and your professional life. So check it out, thehappyhustlebook.com. I appreciate you guys so much for your time and your just attention. I really do, appreciate it, because I know attention is the currency and you have a finite amount of it. So I'm really grateful for it. And I'm really grateful that you spent some time happy hustling with me. Now, without further ado, get yourself out there, start managing your time more effectively so you can increase your productivity and happy hustle that life that you love, full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. Peace and love, y'all.